Jai Hind everyone. My name is Ankita Rani. I am working as an assistant professor in the department of CSE at Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today I will discuss the topic MapReduce and Hadoop, and this topic comes under the subject Data Analytics BCA 052. So first we know about the MapReduce. What is MapReduce? In MapReduce, we have two stages or two functions. First is map and another one is reduce. So MapReduce is a processing technique for distributed computing based on the Java. And MapReduce algorithm has two main tasks, map and reduce. Map take a set of data and convert it into another set of data, where individual elements are broken down into the pieces or into small units. Secondly, reduce function. So reduce task which take the output from a map as an input and combine those data tuples or those smaller units into a smaller set of tuples. As the sequence of the name map reduce implies, the reduce task is always performed after the map job. So the algorithm say that MapReduce paradigm is based on sending the computer to where the data reside. It has two stages. Basically, it execute in three stages. First is map stage, second one is shuffle stage, and third is the reduce stage. So first is the map stage. So this has a three function. First one is map, another one is shuffle, and last one is reduce. So map reduce has a three task. First is the map stage. So in map stage, the map or mapper job is to process the data. Generally, the input data is in the form of the file or the directory, and it is stored in the HDFS, Hadoop file system. So the input file is passed to the mapper function line by line. The mapper process the data and create the small units of the data, small chunks of the data. After the map function, there is a shuffle stage and reduce stage. So reduce stage is a combination of the shuffle stage and reduce stage. So second step is a combination of the shuffle stage and reduce stage. So the reducer job is to process the data that comes from the map job. After processing, it produces a new set of output which will be stored in the HDFS. So this diagram show the architecture of the map reduce. So first we have a function of map function. After mapping, they take the input data from the user, and after that the data is mapped and mapped into smaller chunks of the data, and after processing we perform the reduce task. So the work of the reducer is to reduce the task in a single unit as a output, which is called output data. So during a map reduce job, Hadoop send the map and reduce task to the appropriate server in the cluster. So this framework manage all the detail of data passing, such as issuing task, verifying task completion, and copying data around the cluster between the nodes. So after completion of the task, the cluster collect and reduce the data to form appropriate result and send it back to the Hadoop server. This data is sent back to the Hadoop server. So the task is done by the MapReduce. Now next topic is Hadoop. What is Hadoop? What the work of the Hadoop file system? So Hadoop is a framework that uses distributed storage and parallel processing to store and manage the big data, because we have a big data. For storing and managing the data, we use Hadoop framework. So it is the software which is most used by the data analytics to handle big data. And there are three components of the Hadoop. First is the Hadoop file system, Hadoop HDFS. Hadoop HDFS means Hadoop distributed file system, which is called the storage unit. After second component is Hadoop MapReduce. In MapReduce we have processed the data. So it is called processing unit. Third component is Hadoop Yarn. Yarn stands for yet another resource negotiator, which is called as a resource management unit. All the resources of the data is managed by the Hadoop Yarn. So first we discuss the first component is Hadoop file system, HDFS. First come in this, all the files of the big data are stored, which is called as the storage unit. So there are two component of HDFS. In HDFS we have two component, name node and data node. So while there is only one name node and multiple data nodes, in HDFS we have only one name node and we have multiple data nodes. So HDFS is specially designed for storing the huge data set in commodity hardware. So there are some features of the HDFS. Feature is the provide distributed storage. The data is stored distributed in a distributed manner. Second is it can be implemented on a commodity hardware, and third one is it also provides the data security, and fourth one is highly tolerant. Highly fault tolerant means if one machine goes down, the data from the machine goes to the next machine. It means the whole system is not failed if one machine is failed. So these are the two nodes which is in the Hadoop file system. One is the name node and another one is the data node. So for name node we can also call it as the master, and for data node we can call it as a slave node. So master and slave node form the HDFS cluster. So the name node is called the master and the data node is called the slave. The name node is responsible for the working of the data nodes, because the work of the slave is based on the master node. So it also stores the metadata. The data node, these are the data node which read, write, process and replicate the data. They also send signals known as the heartbeats to the name node. These all are send the signals which is called heartbeat. So these heartbeats show the status of the data node. So this diagram show the example of the master and slave nodes. In this, we have a single name node and we have multiples data nodes, and this data is this whole data is of the 30 TB files, and this data is divided into 128 MB blocks. 128 MB blocks, and these blocks is divided into the data nodes, and after processing these blocks are divided as a whole unit. So the example, after that the second component is the Hadoop MapReduce. In Hadoop MapReduce, it is a processing unit. In that the data is processed. So the Hadoop MapReduce is the processing unit of the Hadoop. In the MapReduce approach, processing is done at the slave node and the final result is sent to the master node. For example, a data containing code is used to process the entire data. This coded data is usually very small in comparison to the data itself. You only need to send a few kilobytes worth of code. We only need to send a few kilobytes worth of code to perform a heavy duty process on the computers. So this is the examples of the Hadoop MapReduce. In this example, we have an input. We have a input of three data. First is bus car train, ship train and bus ship car. So at the first step, we split that data in three parts, like first data, second data and third data. After that, we MapReduce. We map from that data the same type of the data. Like for example, a bus, car, train. In this, we have a quantity of bus is 1, car quantity is 1, and train quantity is 1. Ship, train, ship, train, ship, train, bus, ship, car. After the map phase, we shuffle and sort the data. In this, we shuffle the data. For example, we take bus from here and bus from here. So we shuffle the data and make as a whole unit. After that, second unit is of car, and after that, third unit is of ship, and fourth unit is of train. And so in this is the shuffle stage of map reduce. After the shuffle stage, we have a reduce phase. In reduce phase, we combine all the data which splits in the map and reduce job. So in this, we write the total quantity. For example, the quantity of bus is 2, and the quantity of car is 2, the quantity of ship is 3, and the quantity of train is 2. So the input data set is first split into small parts of the data, and in the map phase, data is assigned a key and a value of 1. In this, these key value pair are then shuffled and sorted together based on their keys, and at the reduce phase, aggregation take place and the final output is obtained. So this is the second concept of the Hadoop. Next component is the Hadoop yarn. Hadoop yarn stands for the yet another resource negotiator. This is the unit of the resource management unit. In this, all the resources which takes by the user are managed. So Hadoop yarn, it is a resource management unit of the Hadoop and is available as a component of Hadoop version 2, because Hadoop yarn is the third component of the Hadoop. So Hadoop yarn act like an OS to Hadoop. It works as a operating system. It is a file system that is built on top of the HDFS. So basically, operating system is which interact with the user. In this, the system is interact with the user. In a similar way, Hadoop yarn interact with the user. So it is responsible for managing cluster resources to make sure you don't overload one machine. So in this, we also perform the load balancing to make sure that one process can overload and nobody can another process can underload, and it performs job scheduling to make sure that the jobs are scheduled in the right place. Jobs are equally assigned to every process, and job scheduling is work like as a CPU scheduler. The task of the CPU scheduler is done by the Hadoop is yarn. So this is the diagram. In this, we have a client and we have a resource manager which manages all the resources. The client send the request to the resource manager if we want any resources, and this is the node manager. Node manager have two components. First is the container and second one is the app master. So all the node managers have two containers. First is the container and another one is the app master. In app master, they contain the information about the app, and container, they store all the data, they store all the files. So if the client can demand any resources, request any resource, then the resource manager send the request to the node manager, then node manager check in their storage unit whether this app or whether this data is available in that or not. If the data is available, then they send back to the resource manager, and then resource manager is sent back to the client that data. So suppose a client machine wants to do a query or fetch some code for data analysis. This job request goes to the resource manager, which is responsible for resource allocation and management. For example, we have a client and we have a server. So server, and in between we have a resource manager, and resource manager which is called yarn. So the client send request to the resource manager and resource manager send request to the server. So in the node section, each of the node has its node manager. So at here we have a node manager. So we have a node manager. Node manager contains the data, contains the file. So these node manager manage the node and monitor the resource usage in the node. And node manager have some container. Node manager has a contains container. In container, we have a collection of physical resources, which could be RAM, CPU, or hard disk or hard drive. So in this, we have a RAM, we have a CPU, we have a hard disk. So whenever a job request comes in, app master requests the container from the node manager. So another is after container, another is the app manager. So the app manager, whenever a job request comes, the app master or the app manager requests the container to the node manager. So once the node manager gets the resources, it goes back to the resource manager. So this is the three components of the Hadoop file system. First is the HDFS, Hadoop file system, in which all the files are stored and they work as a storage unit. And if we take any data from the big data, we send the data in the HDFS. And HDFS, after HDFS is work on the master and slave node concept. After that, we have a Hadoop MapReduce. In MapReduce, we perform the two tasks, map stage and reduce stage. MapReduce is a and this work as a processing unit. In this, the data is processed. In map, we divide the input in a small chunks of the data, and after shuffling or after sorting or after processing, we perform the reduce task. The reducer task is to reduce the data as a single unit. So this diagram show all the stages of the map reduce. First is the input, second is split, third is the map phase, after that shuffle and sort phase, and after that we have a reduce phase. And third component is the Hadoop yarn. Hadoop yarn is a resource management unit, and it works like a operating system to the Hadoop. It works like as an operating system which interact with the user for any resources and for management and for scheduling the job. Okay, thank you.